Hello, everybody, and welcome to the RNCC meeting, the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council meeting. It is May 12th, Monday at 7:04 p.m. I'd like to have everybody stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance and or sit and in a moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'd like to let everybody know that this meeting is being video recorded. Remember to be respectful of our speakers and ask questions that are on topic. I want to thank KCR TV and Richard Lee for recording this meeting. We'll start out with introductions, and please state your name, rank, and neighborhood council. Please report anything from your neighborhood council. We'll start out with Rock.
Rock Brown, Sergeant of Arms, RNCC, and Treasurer for East Richmond Neighborhood Council. No report.
Garland Ellis, President of Richmond Annex Neighborhood Council and board member for the RNCC. We had a meeting last month. We have a committee meeting coming up this month. Nothing else to report.
Margarita Mitas, President of Marina Bay Neighborhood Council and member of the RNCC Board, and our next meeting is June 11th, so upcoming quarterly meeting.
Thank you. My name is Ardo Rentila. Again, I'm the chair of the meeting for the RNCC here, and I'm also the president of Fairmead Hilltop Neighborhood Council and the president of West County Wastewater Board of Directors. And for us, we're going to forego our meeting in May and July. So we will be back in September, just in time for Dumpster Day. Also wanted to mention that West County Wastewater, if you live in District 4 or in our service area, we're giving away grants for $2,000 to $4,000 for sewer laterals. If you want your sewer lateral done, and you can obtain a grant for $2,000 to $4,000. So that being said, Jan?
I'm Jan Mignoni. I'm the president of the North and East Neighborhood Council, and I am the vice president for the RNCC. Our meetings are the fourth Wednesday of the month, so we won't have it till the end of the month. But we are having Winifred from the Art Commission to come and tell us about a program they have, Art in the Park. We, on the 26th, we had our disaster preparedness event for the Neighbor to Neighbor, and it came out pretty good. We had 51 people showed up, so there wasn't as much advertising as there should have been about it, but we had 51 people, so it was only 3 hours long, so it was kind of okay. But yeah, so it was pretty interesting, and we had the fire department, we had somebody from RPD was there, and a few other things. But yeah, so our next event won't be until June. Our next Neighbor to Neighbor event will be in June.
Good evening. My name is Lori Hart. I am the secretary for the RNCC and the vice president for Parchester Village Neighborhood Council. We have our neighborhood council meeting tomorrow on the 13th. We will have Vice Mayor and Councilman District 2, Cesar Cepeda, as our guests. We have a dumpster day coming up on the 17th. Again, that's the 17th in Parchester. If you don't live in Parchester, please don't show up because we do check addresses. And we have an awesome mural reveal going on the 31st, which is the last Saturday in this month. Everyone is welcome, particularly and especially all of the wonderful people, all of the more than 500 people that came to help paint the mural. So you should have received an invite if you didn't. This is a personal invite. It will be from 12 p.m. to 4. at 2:30. Parchester's very own International Tia Carroll will be our live performer, and so we're really looking forward to that. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Garetha Johnson. I'm the president of Parchester Neighborhood Council and the PIO for the RNCC. And no report.
Hello, my name is Bryce Aleman. I'm a Director of Large for the RNCC and representing the Richmond Village Metro Square neighborhoods. Nothing to report.
So before we go online, would those of you in the audience like to come up and introduce yourselves? Tell us what neighborhood you're coming from, and we'll wait for the presenters for them to introduce themselves.
So I came at the right time. So I am Cordell Hendler with Park Plaza Neighborhood Council, and nothing to report, but we are having our next meeting in next month in June. So we're going to be on a summer hiatus until September. So, and then I was at the Point Richmond Neighborhood Council meeting last month, and fairly good turnout. We had about 25 people in attendance. So we had folks from Chevron that came and talked to us about what they're up to, and so our next meeting will be May 28th. So soon. I'm like, wow. And then for Coronado, we had a pretty good, decent turnout. We had about 10 people. So we had folks from Urban Tilt that came and talked to us. And then the next meeting will be May 17th, which is this Saturday at Joe Fisher's home at 2 p.m.
Hello, my name's Andres Jimenez. I'm part of the Richmond Annex neighborhood, newly appointed secretary, and part of the event committee to plan the neighbor to neighbor grant projects.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel Nathan Heiss. I am a member of the Richmond Annex Neighborhood Council, and I'm here for moral support.
Welcome.
Thank you. Moving on to online.
Avery Stark, if you'd please unmute and introduce yourself.
Yes, Avery Stark, planning manager for the city of Richmond. Just here for my report out later. Thank you.
Caesar.
Good afternoon. This is Vice Mayor Cepeda in District 2, here to listening in. Thanks so much.
Crystal B.
Hello, I'm Crystal
Hello, we can hear you.
Barton. Thank you. Hi, I'm Crystal Barton. I am the president of the Laurel Park Neighborhood Council. We are having an event on Saturday, May 17th from 1 to 3 at Braxton Park. And so that's like on South 50th and Park Plaza, Plaza Place, excuse me. So we invite all Laurel Park residents to please come out and support this. We'll have Zumba, we'll have line dancing. The police department and the fire department also will be there. So we hope that we'll have a bounce house. We'll have, a couple of goodies and treats. And so we invite all residents of Laurel Park to please come out and support this neighbor to neighbor event. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Darid 23. We'll come back to you. Gabino. It appears that Darid 23 is actually Howard Stavadal and of El Sobrante Hills and is having audio issues at the moment. Gabino, if you hear this and would care to introduce yourself. Moving on to LaShonda White.
Good afternoon, or sorry, good evening, everyone. LaShonda White, Deputy City Manager for Community Services.
Thank you. Liz Helmler, please. Moving on to Matthew Berglund.
Matthew England for Citio Bay Ventures, consultant to Prologis. Good evening.
Thank you. Michelle Milam.
Hi, this is
And
Michelle Milam, and I'm Crime Prevention Manager for the Richmond Police Department. Thank you.
thank you. And Sunil Plaha.
Hi, Sunil Plaha, representing and a member of the Prologis team here listening in to this meeting.
Thank you so much. Doug Chrisman.
From Park Plaza. Just,
Thank you. And iPhone 64. If you didn't have the chance to introduce yourself, please either raise your hand or attempt speaking now.
Hello, everyone. That would be me, Tony Tamayo, Chief of Staff to Richmond Mayor Laura Martinez.
Thank you so much. I think we've made it through just about everyone. If we missed you, apologies, but thank you for being here.
All right, thank you, everybody. And I know the audience is a little sparse. There's this thing called the Warriors game tonight, and I know people are calling in from home. I wish I could do the same.
My brother has courtside seats.
Oh, man.
I tried to hit him before he left an injury.
Right? Anyway, moving on, we have announcements. Our Public Information Officer, Rita Johnson, would you like to tell us what we have?
Yeah, I have quite a few things this evening. On Wednesday, May 21st, it will be the 41st Annual Senior Information and Health Fair at the Richmond Memorial Auditorium. The time will be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And there's, it says 50/50 door prizes, and there's vendors and interactive exercises. Sounds like fun, but I don't see any food on here, so maybe I'll go along with the exercise. Okay, on May 23rd, from 9 to 1, Miraflores Greenbelt Volunteer Day. That's 4855 Wall Street in Richmond, and it says, join us to help beautify the Miraflores Greenbelt through weeding and litter pickup. The Multicultural Bookstore has a sit, sip, and read on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now that sounds like fun in all ages. And it says free coffee, free pastries, and free Wi-Fi. Now that's somewhere where you need to go. Free, free, free. All right. And on May 31st, the City of Richmond Community Services Recreation is having a family day. Explore the outdoors. The time is 9 a.m. to 12 at the Recreation Complex, and that's 3230 McDonald Avenue, and all ages are welcome. On May 31st, Parkchester Village is having its Seeds to Harvest celebration for our mural reveal, and that's from 12 to 4 at our community center, which is 900 Williams Drive in Richmond, California. And so there'll be food and entertainment and fun for all. Come join us. On May 28th, the Neighborhood Watch will have a free training class, and it's from 6 to 7 p.m. And they want you to, they say register now, but I don't see, if anyone's interested, you could really contact me, and then I can let you know about the Zoom link, because I don't want to have to say all that right now. But it says, why watch, get to know your neighbors and beat officers and improve safety. I'll set that aside. Okay, and on May 15th, Thursday, AC Transit will be having a State of AC Transit from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock at the CoBiz building, downtown Richmond. They'll be serving a continental breakfast, and it's located at 1503 McDonald Avenue, Suite A. And you need to register for that too, so I'll leave that to the side. So if anybody really wants to get more information about that, you just need to contact me. And I think I got everything. Oh, one more thing. The Richmond Tool Library needs your input. So they have a survey that's going around, and the city of Richmond is expanding its tool library hours, programs, and location. And this survey will be available into June the 30th. And you probably can just go to the tool library at, oh, that's the email address. Probably could just go on the website to get the survey. Yeah, just go on the city website, Community Services, and fill out the survey. That's it.
Well, thank you. Oh, and by the way, Ms. Rita, can you tell everybody if we wanted to get some information to you, how we can go about doing that?
You would either email me at Goretha, and that's Goretha. You would email me at Goretha, Goretha _Johnson, JOHNSON @Comcast.net. Or you could phone me at 510-210-8285.
Wonderful, thank you. Moving on, we have our presenter for tonight will come from our Fire Chief, Osorio. Are you, Chief Osorio, are you online?
Yes, sir, I am. Can you hear me?
Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. Fire Chief Aaron Osorio, Richmond Fire. I'm here to do a brief presentation on our the newly released by the state fire hazard severity zone maps. This is actually the last in a series of community meetings that we've done as a fire department to try to get the word out, get folks educated on what these maps are. If you are impacted by these new maps, and direct them towards the website that we've built that can pretty much answer every question you might have about the maps and how they will affect you. So I can just do a brief summary to get to where we're at today with this process. So really these maps, these high severity zone maps, are maps that are developed by the state of California, specifically by CAL FIRE, Office of State Fire Marshal. The maps fall into two categories. They call them LRA maps for local responsibility area maps, or SRA maps for state responsibility area maps. The difference there would be who's the jurisdiction having authority over that piece of land. So LRA maps pertain to all of the jurisdiction in the state that does not fall under CAL FIRE's emergency response authority. So City of Richmond falls under the LRA category. The maps, the history of the maps are that after the tunnel fire, or but that was the official name, but that was actually, most people know as the Oakland Hills fire in '91. There was an assembly bill passed. It was Assembly Bill 337, and it required the state to identify fire hazard severity zone maps throughout the state. What the state did is they mapped the entire state, regardless of jurisdiction, and then put in the boundaries, and they applied the rules that they wanted on the state responsibility side, and then asked the local jurisdictions to adopt the maps on their jurisdiction. So the existing maps that we have now, they actually were adopted by the city council in 2009. And at the time, the state gave you a map, and it was also at the discretion of the jurisdiction to add areas to that map if they saw fit based on their perceived hazard in those areas, possibly on previous fire history. Whatever it was, the jurisdiction felt that it was an elevated risk, they could add those areas to the map. So back in 2009, when these maps were adopted, other areas were added, specifically Olive Point, Richmond, and even into portions of North Richmond, which they fell on jurisdictional lines for our response districts. They didn't really have a any other reason to pick those lines other than it was for ease of dispatch. So we fast forward till now. What we have is the state is updating their maps. There's assembly bill that was passed to update the government code, which now made the state identify not just very high zones, which is what was in the original maps, but high and moderate risk or hazard zones too. On February 24th, the maps were released to the local jurisdictions. So we received it at the fire department on the 24th of February. We had every jurisdiction had 30 days to post them for public comment. And 120 days from receiving the maps, they need to be adopted by the governing body of the jurisdiction. So for us, the city council. And with 30 days after the adoption, they go back to the Board of Forestry and the State Fire Marshal, and they go into effect, the new maps. So that's really where we're at right now, the timeline. We're in the tail end of the public comment and review phase. These maps were scheduled to go to council for first reading on the May 27th City Council agenda, where we will recommend the council adopt the maps as provided by the state with no modifications. And then we'll have the second reading in the following meeting before we send our entire packet of public comment and adoption and resolution back to the Board of Forestry in the state. Just really quickly, a little history or a little information on why we are adopting the maps as is and not adding like we did last time. Like I said before, the state did not have very strict rules or requirements to add areas to the map. Well, that changed this year or this time. And sorry, my radio's on. What the new words in the wording in the code says is that there has to be a consistent methodology to make all the zones what they are throughout the state. So if we wanted to include a zone in the very high, the state has said you would have to meet or exceed the level of scientific analysis they did to be able to add a zone. And as we'll talk a little bit later, the process in doing this mapping was very, had a lot of scientific aspects to it, a lot of fuel modeling, topography, weather, ember cast modeling, a lot of things went into modeling and coming up with these zones. And it wouldn't be realistic to think that we could exceed what the state did in trying to determine a zone that we felt maybe should have been added to it. So we're not going to make any adjustments to it. The other reason for that is once you adopt it in and the state recognizes it, the city is no longer in the driver's seat about the requirements for those zones. The city council and the fire department would lose the ability to possibly lessen some of the requirements in areas that weren't identified by the state originally. And as we anticipate, the state will increase the requirements in wildfire zones beginning in 2026, most likely going to a zone 0 requirement, which means nothing flammable within 5 feet of your house. And that can be very difficult to do in an urban setting such as Richmond, where the houses are very close together, and it would not even be feasible to achieve zone 0 in some areas of the city that are not truly in the wildland area. So that's where we're at with that process. What we will plan on doing is coming back after we adopt the state maps with an amendment to our city ordinance, the municipal code, to identify some areas we feel have some elevated wildfire risk, but do not meet the criteria of the state maps, where we will enforce some level of defensible space or vegetation management in those areas. So the big question is, how did they come up with these maps? Like I said before, these maps were, there's a lot of science that went into these maps. And there's a great video on the website I'll show you later, refer you to it, you can look at it in your own time, that really goes in depth into how these maps were created. But in the end of the day, it looked at things like severe fire behavior, historic fire behavior for the last 50 years, weather for the last 30 to 50 years as relates to extreme weather patterns that happened during the fire season, how tall the fuel was, fuel modeling, the topography, whether it's a slope, where there was a canyon, draws in the topography, and the relationship of buildings to the wildland vegetation. All these inputs were put in, and where they all intersected, you came up with the zones and different layers of zones or different severities of zones. Where we have the very high is going to be where all of those highest scores, the highest score in every factor, all intersected, which meant it created the areas with the highest amount of hazard. These are hazard maps. They're not risk maps. So they really focus on the physical features in the area. Risk maps are what the insurance company uses to assess the risk to your home from a fire, and what they use to determine whether or not they're raising your rates, whether they're dropping you, things of that nature. These maps are not currently used by the insurance industry. And that's the biggest question we get. Is this going to impact my insurance? The short answer is, I don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. I can tell you is that currently the insurance company does not use these. The insurance industry does not use these, but they will become public record. And there was nothing preventing the insurance industry from using these later on if they wish to. It would not be a tool they would probably utilize to get all of their information, but it might be one of a number of different models they use to see where they're at. With the insurance industry being scrutinized on how it does business in California, I would anticipate that they may begin to use other tools to try to justify the actions that they take within the state of California. So as of right now, does not impact your insurance, but that is not a guarantee moving forward. Do I have the ability to share my screen? I just wanted to kind of show this the web page that will help folks navigate this
Yeah, I
topic
believe you
too.
do. Please go ahead.
Okay. So this is the, if you go to the city's website and to the fire department, there's a tile on there that's titled Fire Hazard Severity Zone Maps. They'll take you to this page right here. This page was modeled after the CAL FIRE and the CON FIRE page. For one, they were very detailed, and for another, with CON FIRE, we understand that there's a lot of pockets of unincorporated county and city of Richmond that in our jurisdiction or that we respond to. And some folks may not be exactly sure, well, whose jurisdiction do they fall under? And so we wanted to make the maps, whether they went to our page or ConFire's page, similarly, look similar and similarly navigate through them so that they can find the information they needed. But all these maps and everything that we have is only for the parcels that fall within the city of Richmond. So I think we've had some other community members get confused that just because a Richmond fire engine shows up at your house in El Sobrante, that does not mean you're in the Richmond fire jurisdiction. That just means through our auto aid agreements, we are the closest fire engine that responds to you, but you would have to go to the CON FIRE page to look at the maps for unincorporated county. Same would go for North Richmond, and areas along San Pablo Dam Road potentially. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these maps. So if you don't see your address on these tools, go to the CON FIRE page, and you most likely will end up falling into their jurisdiction for this topic. This page here, though, has all the information that the state has provided us. So there's nothing we have that you don't necessarily, other than some map files that we were sent to help create all these tools. Each one of these tiles has very useful aids in explaining what these maps are about and the impacts that they'll have on you. And of course, it wants to think right now while I'm trying to show you, right? So here you go right here. This handout here is basically describes everything about the maps from the inception of the maps in 1992 till today. So very useful information, answers a lot of questions. There's a lot of frequently asked questions on that. on that page. Get out of this one, I'm sorry. But one of the probably most useful tools on this website is going to be the before and after viewer and the parcel lookup. And that's really going to give you a lot of information that you're going to want to know. If you go to the before and after viewer, it's going to show you the current maps that are adopted, and it'll show you the proposed maps that are up for adoption. So as you see here, this roller in the middle, if you push to the left, this is the current 2009, the current maps that are adopted. You'll see Point Richmond, parts of North Richmond, Point Pinole, and then everything out in the East Bay Park area and in May Valley, El Sobrante area. If you take the roller and you roll over to the right, these are the proposed maps. And these have the 3 different zones: very high, high, and moderate. Red is very high, and then descending down in color and severity. There is some people that, some residents or parcels that were not previously in these zones that were added into them. And then there's people who have been historically in these zones that actually were removed. So you'll want to look on there and see. And particularly East Richmond Heights area, small sections that fall in the city of Richmond were added. And some areas up along Rifle Range, up above El Cerrito, that's technically the city of Richmond, they were added. And then you have areas that were downgraded or added in the moderate or high zones that are along May Valley. This map, the dotted line signifies our city jurisdictional lines. And what you'll notice is up here in District 4, you'll see all 3 colors. And throughout the state, if you took away the city boundaries, you would see every red zone is surrounded by orange and yellow. Every zone, state realized there's no way you can go from very high to no risk at all. This map doesn't show that because the rest of that zone falls outside the city limits. But if you saw one without city limits, you would see this descending color for every single portion of the map that's red. The other big tool that's going to be useful is you go to the parcel lookup. And if you input your either APN or street address in the top left, it will bring you down to your actual parcel. So I can type in the fire station that we have that's in District 4, the 5201 Valley View. You'll see how on its own it zooms in. And I can see how currently I'm in the zone, but under the new map, this fire station would be out of the zone. This goes down to the street level. So you're gonna be able to see, it's transparent. So you're gonna be able to see your actual parcel in there, and you can see where you fall in the zones. So that's a really useful tool if you're not really sure where do you fall on the map. You're also going to realize that there's parcels out there that may have 2 different colors in the same parcel. Maybe your backyard's in red and part of your house is in orange. It just happened to be that's how the model fell, and those lines will be cleaned up in the next few years by the state. But as of right now, the highest zone in your parcel will be the standards that you'll be held to. I'm going to stop sharing this really quick. Another thing is a question we get all the time is, well, what does this mean? What are the requirements in these zones? So very high zone, the red, you will continue to have the same requirements you currently do if you live in there, which is what we call Zone 1 defensible space requirements. 30 feet from around your home, grass can't be more than 4 inches, trees must be maintained, clear stuff away from, your decks, help you get your houses. Within 100 feet of your home, you need to have trees trimmed. Everything kind of needs to be, kept up to not allow fire to go from the ground to the trees, off the ground. When the state updates their requirements, most likely in 2026, those requirements are going to get very strict for the folks in the very high zone. Most likely will be required to meet zone 0 requirements, which is nothing flammable within 5 feet of your home or touching your home or hanging over your home, including fences and decks, and anything flammable pots or planters, no vegetation in pots underneath your windows. Very strict rules. Screening, you'll be required to have ember screening, gutter guards, things that help prevent embers from starting fires. Ember cast and embers have been proven to be the most common way houses catch fire that butt up to the wildland. So a lot of the focus is put on trying to stop the embers from getting into your home or into your crawl space or into your attics. I think I can stop right now. It's a lot of information. I don't want to overload everybody. One last thing I did want to show though is on the website, there's a place that you can give public comment. So as you scroll through this website, a lot of these drop downs have information behind them. This video about how the state came up with the maps, extremely useful. It's going to explain it to you. A lot of science in a short period of time. So I recommend everybody look at that if you're interested in knowing how the maps are developed. But at the bottom of the page, here's where you can submit public comment. We're keeping these public comments. We have to actually submit these comments with our final packet to the Board of Forestry and the State Fire Marshal. We will not most likely be responding to these comments, but we are reviewing them and looking at them. And when necessary, we make some adjustments in what we're doing. But the process is pretty laid out. And this is more for the state to gather comments about the maps and concerns people have about the maps with regards to how the state set up the boundaries. So anybody who submits a comment, those will be submitted to the state, forwarded to the state along with our final resolution. So with that, I think it's easier for me to answer questions if there's any, because not that I love talking about this topic, but you can talk for a very long time about the maps if you're not careful.
Well, before we get to questions, I'd like to remind everybody that this video can be found on KCR TV YouTube page. So I appreciate the step-by-step directions. I will be reviewing them myself. So as far as questions, do we have any on the dais here?
Me? Okay. I'll go. Yeah, that was a great presentation. Curious, because I saw that it looked like that on that one map that District 5, which is where I'm at, Marina Bay was moved out of a high-risk zone, if I'm looking at that correctly. But the question I have is, those communities that are moving into a higher risk zone, what is and I know you addressed some of this, but is there a potential possibility that they would be subject to higher property taxes? I mean, is the city looking at these new maps with that in mind?
No, there's only use of these maps is for our defensible space inspection and enforcement program. And we're actually mandated by the state in any of these zones to conduct those inspections and to conduct, we basically go out, every parcel in this area is inspected by either an engine company and or an inspector. And if they're not in compliance, there's follow-up visits and education. And we try to twist people's arms through educating them about how they can save their home. But there's no other purpose behind these maps for the city.
Okay, and then the follow-up question is just, so you mentioned a lot of rules and, tips on what you can do to, prevent fires. But will there be notices that go out to these communities that are now in a higher risk zone and that have been elevated in those areas? Is there any type of communications going out to them? Because I know it's on the website, but how will people know?
When we created the GIS file, we pulled every single parcel and property owner that falls in any of the zones, all 3 zones. And they all received a postcard mailer letting them know that there's new LRM maps for review, and they had the website on there, and it had a QR code, and they were directed to go to the city website to get more information because this is such a complex issue with a lot of handouts and tools to use. It was too much to put into like a brochure that we mailed to everybody. We wanted people to come to the website, also for the public comment aspect of it. So they all were notified by that method. We've done outreach through neighborhood councils, through the fire safe councils, through the city manager's reports, through the city council updates by the city manager every week. So we've been on over a month-long campaign to try to get the word out there. So it's not surprising to anybody. When the time comes for their inspections, they will also receive a mailer that lets them know they're going to be inspected in the next month. Here's the requirements. Here's what you can do to get in compliance. This is what we're going to be inspecting. So there's a lot of information available that everybody that's in these zones is getting.
Thank you. Very thorough.
Yes, Chief Rosario, I did get information, I think, from you saying that there was a small area of Parkchester that was going to be moved into one of the zones. And so I pulled up one of the houses, which is on the back end, which is on Bank Street, and I don't see anything. Do you know if there are actually any houses in Parkchester that got moved into that zone, or is it just the Point Pinot Park, the East Bay Regional portion of it?
Only Point Pinot Park was pulled into the zone. Okay. And it was only pulled in at the moderate level, not at the high or very high.
Okay.
And so, yeah, no homes in Parkchester Village were added to the area.
Okay. And that brings me to my next question. There used to be controlled burns years ago, especially at the Point Pinot right behind Parkchester, because there's that area just up next to the railroad tracks. And that hasn't happened in years. Is that something that you guys are going to resume?
We didn't conduct those burns. Those burns were conducted annually by East Bay Regional Parks. It's their property. We're actually not allowed to burn on their property. They've actually, I don't remember for sure last year, but other than last year, they've notified us every time they do it. They don't do it close to the homes anymore just because there's a lot of complaints. The control burns that they tend to do are in the park. A lot of times they're bordering the eucalyptus grove that was there. And we assist with staffing and apparatus. They invite us, but they take the lead on those burns because we're legally not allowed to burn on their property.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions online?
If you're online and have a question, please raise your hand electronically.
I'm sorry, before we go online, Rock? Okay, I'm sorry. Please, no one online? Anybody in the audience? Okay, Rock?
Thank you for your presentation, Chief, and thank you for your service, sir. Just curious if where I live, San Pablo and Solano Avenue in Richmond, there was a loud explosions, and we've never seen where there was, I guess, a pipe shop or what have you. It's called Exotic Clouds, and it had some huge doors in front of it, metal doors that were closed, almost like a prison, but it burnt to the ground. But the neighbors were all kind of communicating with me because it was of the explosions. There was, I guess, some explosions. Do you know anything about that? Anything that you could elaborate at all, or heard anything about the smoke shop that it had explosions maybe within a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, that was not this past weekend, but the one before. I believe that
Yeah.
was a Sunday morning fire. Either Saturday morning or I think it was Sunday morning, early morning, like about 4 a.m. We got reports that actually it came in as a spot shotter call, not as a fire. And then when it was investigated by Richmond police, they got on scene. They realized there was actually a structure fire, and what they were hearing was small explosions going off in the shop. There were small compressed canisters being stored in that shop. So full fire response. Fire was put out, was contained to the building of origin, didn't spread to any other businesses. There wasn't an ADU impacted to the rear of the structure, but no injuries. And it was investigated by our investigators. And about all I can really say about that incident right now.
Thank you for everything, and thank you for the investigation.
So I had some questions about your presentation. I wanted to ask you, regardless of how you've home hardened your home, if you fall into that zone, the insurance companies are just looking at that zone, is that correct? As opposed to the home itself?
They're not looking at this zone. They have their own risk maps, and they look at things like vegetation. They look at things. You have wood decks attached to your house. You have trees hanging over your roof. You have firewood stacked up against your home. Wood fences attached. So they look at a lot of different factors, but those are risk factors that could be mitigated versus hazards that usually are kind of outside anybody's control to change. Like you can't change the fact you live at the top of a steep hill and there's a forest below you, right? You can't change the fact if you're in a wind-prone area that gets high humidity, high temperatures and low humidity. It has historical fire behavior. So those types of factors are what this map gauges. The insurance companies use risk maps, and risk to a certain extent can be mitigated if you take the appropriate measures, which is why insurance companies will tell them if they do X, Y, and Z, that they may maintain their insurance at a higher rate or something like that. Some people get dropped, some people get given a punch list of things to get done. Some insurance companies will say if you meet zone 0 requirements and get an inspection, we'll keep you as your policy. If not, then we're going to drop you. Every insurance company is doing something a little different, but this map is not used for that for the insurance company.
Okay, I also wanted to say, I spoke to you last time about this. So when clearing trees from your yard, redwood trees are protected by the state of California. It takes a permit sometimes. You can't cut them down, and they're fire retardant, not resistant. So do you guys look at trees as just being trees as opposed to a eucalyptus tree which is highly flammable, or a pine tree, which is also highly flammable? A redwood tree is not flammable.
We don't specify species. What we look at is it cleared up? Is it limbed up so that you can't have ladder fuels that go from a grass fire on the ground and spread to branches and now goes into the crown of a tree? We're looking at the arrangement of fuels and the height of fuels, not the species of the fuel. And so although some trees are worse than others, any tree that's hanging 20 feet over your roof line poses a hazard to your house. So really, for under the current rules, we're just looking at the arrangement of the fuels. And on the website, our website actually has examples of how to properly limb up your tree. We realize that removing trees is extremely expensive, and sometimes it's not necessary. So I think it's better to look at the requirements and don't do unnecessary work, because there's a lot of things that are inexpensive that can really harden your home, like gutter guards and ember mesh and cutting your grass, and don't store firewood against your tree, and cover around your deck with metal skirting so embers can't get under there. There's a lot of other things you can do versus spending $5,000 to have a tree taken out by a tree service.
So if you have a neighbor that happens to be a hoarder and their backyard is just littered with flammable stuff, who would you contact?
Well, if it's in the high severity zone and it's visible from the public right of way,
It's
we
not.
can write it up in our inspection. If it's not in the high fire zone, it's actually not a fire department. It's not under the fire department's jurisdiction. That would be under the code enforcement's jurisdiction and in the weed abatement codes and the code enforcement codes.
Yeah,
Which actually separate.
I ran into an issue where code enforcement went down the PG&E easement and looked in the guy's backyard and said, "Oh yeah, this is terrible, but because we're in an easement, we don't have the right to take these pictures." So you'd have to contact the fire department, I guess, was his answer. So I don't know.
It's tricky when it's not visible from the public right of way and it's not in the high severity zone. It becomes tricky. It really does become more of a code enforcement issue. Even us, we know we have folks who have things in their backyard that need to be cut and trimmed and cleaned, but if we can't see it, the other thing that can happen is we are allowed to do enforcement if a neighbor allows us permission onto their property and we can look over the fence. That we have had cases like that. But there, you have to show like you were granted access if you're going to have to try to do any enforcement.
So you guys don't, you can't use a drone, right?
We don't have a drone program, and we don't inspect by drones currently.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well, do we have any other questions? No, I want to thank you for your presentation, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Please look at the website. Keep in mind, it's meant to be looked at through a computer. It doesn't really function the same way on a mobile device. So if you can get on a computer, please take a look at it. And then lastly, before I go, just want to remind everybody this Saturday, May 17th, 11 to 3, Fire Station 63 on Valley View, 5201 Valley View. We're hosting our first ever National Wildfire Prevention Month open house. Everybody that's coming to present and have booths is somehow linked into the wildfire prevention and preparedness world. So there's gonna be a lot of good information there. We're doing it in conjunction with West Contra Costa Fire Safe Council. They put in a lot of work with the fire department to get this event off the ground. We'll have folks from Cal Fire, Measure X, PG&E, East Bay Mud, East Bay Parks District, United policyholders. So a lot of good information at the fire station. Have a piece of pizza, come see your local fire department. Hopefully I see a lot of folks there.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Moving on, next we have Richmond Police Department. Lieutenant Decius, are you on?
Yes, sir. I'm here. How are you guys doing tonight? That's going to be a tough act to follow with the fire chief there, so I'll try to keep this concise for you guys.
Can we get you to speak up a little?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. A couple of things that happened just this past month. Obviously, we had the Cinco de Mayo festival, which was very well attended. That was, I guess, about a week ago or so on that Sunday. So very good showing there, very few incidents, and we look forward to having it again next year. We are planning for the Juneteenth, which is June 21st on that Saturday. We'll be coming out with some social media campaigns and some sort of literature showing people the route. It'll be from the high school on Cutting, Richmond High, down Cutting to South 37th, north on 37th, and then it'll be turning left or west onto McDonald, and it'll be at Nickel Park as it is every year. A couple hot topics in the kind of going around the city right now. Obviously, we started our street sweeping enforcement on April 15th, and we're full go on that. We do have a lot of concerned community members who either weren't notified or didn't know that we were starting. So we're kind of working through some of those ups and downs about new signage, some signs that are faded or some areas which need to have things refreshed. So we're working through that. With that being said, over the last 3 weeks, we have issued over 5,000 citations, not only for street sweeping, but for other various offenses. So our 6 parking enforcement representatives are working extremely hard in that aspect. And then over the last month or so, we've impounded about 250 vehicles for various reasons, whether people being arrested or, double parking, expired registration and such. Our staffing right now, we're still allowed 147 sworn. We have 19 vacancies. We actually just had a captain retire last week, Captain Eric Smith, with over 28 years of experience. So this is his first Monday of truly being retired. So I want to give a shout out and congratulations to him. We have 9 officers in the academy, and we have, I believe, 6 officers currently in training, several who are about to go on their shadow phase of training, which is a 2-week phase. And if they are successful there, they will become solo beat officers in the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, depending on how that goes. A couple stats just I want to throw out there. We still, knock on wood, have 0 homicides for the year. Our robberies were down 31%. Our sexual assaults down 17%. Residential burglaries and or commercial burglaries down 9%. Vehicle theft down 33%. We did impound quite a few more vehicles this past month with some of our tow operations. Officers coming in extra and addressing a lot of the vehicles which have been called in on our abandoned vehicle hotline. So we impounded 357 vehicles just in April. DUI-related collisions, we had 6 of those, and we arrested 24 individuals for DUI offenses. And then the officers over the last month have recovered 25 firearms off the streets. That includes patrol officers on the streets, as well as our SWAT team working in unison with our detective bureau on search warrants. And the last thing I want to point out, the last 2 things are our shootings, which are either people that are hit by gunfire or calls for service that we receive where there's a scene located. It's down 56% year to date from this time last year. And then our shot spotters, which are basically microphones, which are strategically placed throughout the city. Those activations are down 18% year to date from it as last year. So we're it looks like we're on the right path with a lot of these crime trends. The one thing which did go up significantly, I'll say aggravated assaults, that was up 20% from 66 to 79. And that's anything from a simple battery to a felonious battery where there's going to be a serious injury needing more than just an ambulance, but medical attention. And with that, that's pretty much all I have today, but I'm open to questions, suggestions, and or advice.
Thank you. Cordell, you have a question?
Yes, Lieutenant Deasy's, I think I mentioned it last month, was received feedback from the staff member of the community at the senior center, and from what she told me that there has been some activity that participants they don't feel safe coming to the center because there's a lot of drug activity out by the center, and it's like it has gotten a little bit better, but it's still not, but it's gotten worse. But that's one. And then the other issue that I mentioned last month was like, I just talked to Palace Furniture earlier, and their concern is that people have been loitering near that little corner between 9 and 9:30 in the morning, and so it's kind of like a repeat. So, but the other issue, and I'm glad you mentioned about the parking enforcement, because in the past I've seen I don't see parking enforcement too often, but there, if you go outside by the library, I have seen a green BMW like parking in that same corner for last week. So, is the 72-hour rule still applies? So, those are my concerns.
Well, thank you for that. Yes, the 72-hour rule still does, but we need to actually red tag it. And then after the 72 hours, we will come back and address it. That's if the vehicle has not moved more than a mile. But if we can prove via various ways that we can do that, if we can prove that it has not moved for that mile, then it can be impounded, yes. But I will write that down. And I know the officers are very aware of 24th and Mac and 25th and Mac. I would add that if some of the individuals that at the senior center feel unsafe walking in or out, to have them call our non-emergency number and ask for an officer just to drive by. And we can sit out there, depending on calls for service, and allow them to feel safe when they're walking to or from their vehicle. So I would always recommend that. But thank you, Cordell.
Rock?
Hello, officer. Thank you for your service. Two questions. One, what's the, you may have said it already, but the total number of homicides for the year? Zero? Excellent.
Zero.
Okay. Amazing. Excellent. That's. And the other one is, since you're talking about the tagging, over there by Grocery Outlet on the backside of Key Route there, Grocery Outlet and Planet Fitness. I mentioned it once before to folks, but if you could just put that in your notes to that there's a lot of tagging through there. There's a lot of vehicles that are just sitting there, and at least if they make it clean, I can live with past 72 hours. But
yeah, so we are very aware of. I'm on several email strings when it comes to Key Boulevard. I believe that Public Works put out some no overnight parking signs, and one of our parking enforcement reps who works that area, Officer Gonzalez, just posted, I believe it was last Thursday or Friday, a bunch of red tags. And Michelle Milam, who's on this
okay, yeah.
on this call here as well, is very familiar with Key. And we're hoping to get several of those vehicles out this week if we possibly can. But it is as is with many areas in the city, it's cyclical. Like we can get it cleaned up, but then unfortunately people come back and the whole process starts over. So it's not a perfect science by any stretch. But if you or anyone else continues to bring it to our attention, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we do address it as quickly as we possibly can within the confines of the law. So yeah, please feel free to continue to bring it to our attention. We're going to keep working hard to get it cleaned up for you.
Sounds like it's on your radar. Thank you.
Lori?
Yes, Lieutenant Decius and Michelle, I have a question and then a problem. What is the process for removing homeless vehicles and not putting them on the property? I had 3 vehicles that were they were in Parchester. They were the mobile homes. And I found out that one of them was moved to a house, which is now actually probably going to be, it's really bad because the house doesn't have any PG&E or anything in it. And I'm starting to see a lot of extremely oversized mobile homes. They're blocking to the point where you can't even see when you're driving, trying to get in. And on one particular one, they've got dogs and illegal cockfights and everything going on. So my question is, when they're moved from the street, how or why are they allowed to be put on people's property as huge as they are when it's actually blocking them? And that's becoming a huge problem. We also still have 3 vehicles. There's one on Morton. That guy has been there for several months. He moved from Collins to Morton, and he's in front of the businesses. And there was an event out there. It was just not very seemly. And I've been told he's not very nice. I have an upcoming event, and I would like that to be that vehicle to be removed. There's a black van right in front of the center. Now, I am not going to say that I saw the people doing drugs. I will say I saw lighters and nothing else in the middle of the night, and I'm getting ready to have an event with several kids. And again, it's right outside of the center, so that needs to be addressed. But I'm curious as to what the policy is, because when the vehicles were removed, I didn't know that they were going into people's yards. So What's that process, and how can we not allow them to be in the yards? Because now I'm encountering all of these oversized vehicles in the yards hanging out, and people can't see when they're driving around the vehicles.
LT, I don't know if you want me to answer that one, but a vehicle that's parked on the street that has people who are unhoused in it, the camping ordinance applies, which means you offer emergency services. They can either accept or decline. And then we come out and we do our normal process, which is 72 hours. If they don't move it in 72 hours, it can be tagged and towed. I think your question is what happens when those vehicles move onto private property into a yard or into a driveway. That then becomes a code enforcement issue. It's private property. So there's two ways to go about that. One is if the property owner is not allowing that vehicle to be there, they can have the police department come and ask those individuals to move because they're trespassing. Or the second thing is we would get code enforcement involved. That is a longer process, obviously. The camping ordinance does not apply to private property, but we can work with the properties that you mentioned and with code enforcement and try to make sure that those are handled and that those vehicles get removed. But it does change whether it's on a private property or a public property. And so we don't definitely allow them to live and camp on private property, but there is a different process that you have to undertake to deal with that.
I'd like to add too that the property has to be permitted for RVs. You can't just put an RV on a property, so it has to be permitted, and you could find that information out on the city website. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. I was just going to say understood because that was actually my question. And then could you, Michelle, briefly just mention about what is it? Nuisance, thank you. The nuisance law, because one of these is becoming a nuisance law, and I know we have some residents on. So if you could just briefly talk about the nuisance law and what that is and how people should absolutely positively call every time there's an issue. Thank you very much.
Oh no, I think you hit the nail on the head. So if a house or a home or a property or in a neighborhood is becoming something called a public nuisance, the city has to be able to document that that is a nuisance. And part of the way that we document that is calls for service. So a lot of times people don't call or they stop calling in because, quite frankly, they get fatigued of calling in all the time on the same property. But it's important for you to call and to call into dispatch rather than to email and post things on Nextdoor and share things in your blogs that haven't been called in because there's no documentation for that and there's no police response for that. The calls for service to the police, the fire department, to code enforcement can be documented. And if we deem that a property meets the standard for a public nuisance, then we can turn it over to our in-house attorneys and they can handle that. We have a quality of life attorney that just joined our staff. I don't know whether she's been formally introduced to this group. Maybe that's something you might want to have addressed at a later time. But that is something that we can turn over and share in-house for the city to be able to pursue. But again, it requires people to call. And I really, really must stress this because I'm on a lot of these email chains with neighbors and neighborhood groups. It's great that you're sharing things. And I know I'm preaching to the choir up here, but please make sure you're calling them in first. If you're sharing them on Nextdoor or Facebook, all these different groups, and you have not called it in or you have not contacted the city, there is no paper trail, there's no record, there's no response. So if we want to get things cleaned up, we have to make sure that it gets on the record. And then that way we can start looking at this call had 103 calls for service in the last 6 months. And then we can kind of move some of those properties forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Crystal B. online.
Hello? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I had a question. I wanted to know, are the beat officers still available to attend neighborhood council meetings?
Yes, they are. Is there a meeting that they haven't gone to with you?
Yeah, I mean, Laurel Park, I've been actually haven't had one attend since January of last year. And extending the invitation a couple of times, or every time we meet quarterly, it's not every month. And so, and didn't, no one showed or respond to the email. And I wasn't sure if that was something that was still going on or just not available to the councils. I didn't get any information, so I wasn't sure. So I thought I would ask in here to find out.
Yeah, it still is. We've had a couple, so that's our B3 area. That's had a couple turnovers in terms of sergeants who have been in charge and then of that. But your next one's in June, I'm going to assume?
So the next one, okay, we just had one in April, so it'll be July.
July, okay.
It'll be July. And I sent an email to Sergeant Oliver, I think it was.
Yeah,
And I wasn't well, he didn't show or the beat officer, and I wasn't even sure if that was something that was still going on because, like I said, we didn't have anyone since like last January. So I wasn't. So I was checking to see even if that was a service that was still being provided.
so I have your email address. I'm going to send you tonight the sergeant who's in charge of it. Now it's Sergeant Michael Sagan. He was just promoted probably about a month ago. He's responsible
Okay.
for that area under me, and I'll ensure that you guys have good communication and we get someone there in July. So I do
Okay, great.
apologize about that.
Okay, thank you for the update of the change and everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Crystal.
You're welcome.
Well, we really need to move this meeting along. I just had two things before we let you go. I had asked staff about, at one time we had a program where you had to register your alarm, your home alarm, to the city of Richmond for monitoring. And is that program still in effect? Do you have to register your home alarm?
Yes, we do, but I want to say that we used a different company, and I think that's being revamped right now. But yes, you are supposed to still register it with the city.
And there's a fee for monitoring?
They're supposed to be, yes.
Okay, and then I was on the Hilltop Horizon site-specific plan the other day, and they were talking about quite a bit of density, which leads to a huge population boom up here in Hilltop. And you were saying that RPD is short of officers right now. Is there a math equation? Like, is it one officer for every 5,000 people, or do we know?
That I don't know off the top of my head. I could look into that and let you know next month. But we are currently down roughly 19 officers. Like I said, we do have 9 in the academy, and I believe we just hired one today that's going to be going to the academy, and 2 more are supposed to go. So we are allotted 147 total, from the chief all the way down to our most junior officer. Back in the heyday, we had over 200. So even though we're only allowed 147, we can't even hit that number right now. It's difficult, hiring, and it's how it is for a lot of agencies, unfortunately. But in terms of the ratio, officer per number of community member or citizen here, I don't know that offhand, but I can find out for you.
That'd be great. Thank you. And once again, before we let you go, Michelle, are you still on? And if anybody wants one of these fancy signs and wants to get into the neighborhood watch program?
Yeah, and I'll just be brief. So we have Neighborhood Watch Block Captain training on Wednesday, May 28th, and it's from 6 to 7 p.m. It's an hour training. So if you want to start a block group in your city, if you want to do some watching and some reporting and learn how to work with the police department and get that old school neighborhood watch going, that's what we do, and we're happy to do that. I dropped the link for the training online, and I also have a flyer that I'll get out to folks. We give signs out to groups that get organized, so we'll order your signs. We'll make sure that you get stickers and window signs to get your block group going. Last year, I believe we did about 40 new watch groups in the city during block captain training, and we're hoping to get at least the same amount. I think we've got about 20 signed up now. So please, if you would like to start a neighborhood watch, come and get the information from us, and you can contact me at mmilam@richmondpd.net or connect with RNCC, and they can get you connected to me, and we can get you signed up.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to thank you both for your presentations and attending. And for those of you that have been texting me during this meeting, the score is 49-44, Minnesota.
You're going to get beat up over there.
Huh?
She doesn't want you to tell the score.
Oh, okay. Well, you weren't the one texting me then.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Uh, So moving on, yeah, moving on, the mayor's office, Tony Tamayo, are you still on?
Yes, I'm here. Can you all hear me?
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tony Tamayo. I'll give a brief presentation here. I'd like to start with our boards and commissions. We are still seeking members of the community, Richmond residents specifically, to join our boards and commissions. We have over 20 of them, ranging from the Arts and Culture Commission to Planning to Design Review Board to Historical Preservation Commission, and more. If you are interested in applying or learning more about one of these commissions, please feel free to email me at mayorsoffice@ci.richmond.ca.us or visit the website online. You'll go to the clerk's webpage and you'll find the information there. But happy to support where I can. Additionally, and I'm not sure if economic development is presenting today, but I do want to give you all a heads up that we are planning a phase 2 launch of our mobile vendor program, which will now be renamed The Lot, downtown Richmond Food Court. We're planning that for early June, around June 7th right now, the Saturday. So please keep that in mind. More details to come. Additionally, I wanted to share some good news is that from my understanding, for the first time ever, Richmond is being selected as a zip trip location by KTVU. That is also coming in June, so stay tuned for that. They might even be contacting some of you for stories. With that, I'll open it up to any questions that you all may have. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for showing. Oh, Cordell.
Tony, just one question. Is the mayor's office thinking about doing like some sort of like a business roundtable?
Hey, Cordell. At this moment, we are not planning a business roundtable. Although we do our fair share of making the rounds to businesses when we go for our weekly walks around the community. But at this moment, we don't have that planned. We're open to one. If anyone wants to help facilitate one, please let us know.
Thank you. Do we have any questions online? Any other questions? I did want to ask you, we spoke the other day, and I was wondering if we ever came across a list of restaurants West County Wastewater wants to start buying locally, and we would like to a reference for restaurants here in Richmond.
Yeah, I have not gotten a response. I think maybe Councilmember Zepeda is online still. He may have an answer to that. I know he was a strong proponent of switching to local
Yeah.
restaurants and stuff for city council meetings. So if he's here, maybe he can help. Otherwise, I will be sure to follow up with you this week.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Vice Mayor?
I'll follow up with you from our conversation the other day. I'll send you over the list that I have.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I guess that's it. Thank you very much to the mayor's office, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you.
Next, we have economic development. Is there anyone here?
Yes,
Samantha. Samantha.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Samantha Carr, Environmental Manager in the Economic Development Department, Environmental and Health Initiatives Division. I will be giving the updates on behalf of the Economic Development Department this evening. So, first and foremost, Bike to Wherever Day is this Thursday. I have the City of Richmond, we have 5 stations. The Richmond Ferry, the Richmond BART station are going to be open from 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. And then McDonald and Key Boulevard, that corner by Grocery Outlet, Unity Park, And then the corner of West Cutting and South Garrard, they're going to be open from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. There's going to be really awesome swag bags, coffee, and snacks available for anybody who is rolling by. So bicycles, electric scooters, rollerblades, or just walking by, come say hi. It's a really fun event. It's hosted annually in partnership with the Richmond Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, 511 Contra Costa, and a bunch of other wonderful local Richmond businesses and nonprofits. Tonight we have a bit of a small business theme tonight with these updates. The first is I want to mention that the Arts and Culture Division and the Arts and Culture Commission would like to invite all artists and creatives to the Grant and Contract Technical Assistance Workshop this Wednesday, May 14th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Whether you are just starting out or looking to strengthen your proposals, this workshop is for you. The workshop will cover types of public art projects, from murals and metalwork to performances and mixed media that are accepted, how to write a standout proposal, tips for presenting your ideas with confidence, and what to include in your application, including receipts, reports, and more. The Neighborhood Public Art Grant for this upcoming cycle is not open yet, but more information about the grant will be shared at the workshop. Please visit the Richmond Arts and Culture Commission Facebook page for more information and to RSVP. All right, so a couple of programs from MCE that we want to share is that they have a small business upgrades program. So this supports small business programs with free energy assessments or no to low cost upgrades for qualified small businesses. To qualify, businesses must be independent, have an energy usage threshold below 50 kilowatt demand, and then operate at fewer than 5 locations. Additionally, MCE is offering a EV charger rebate to businesses as well as multifamily dwellings. Eligible participants may receive free technical assistance, substantial rebates for installing new EV charging ports. MCE offers approximately $3,000 per port, and this amount can be combined with state and local rebates. I also want to give a friendly reminder that Republic Services offers no-cost waste assessment, interior collection bins, interior signage, and trainings for employees to Richmond businesses. It's a really wonderful program. It's really helpful. It's nice to get that expert to come into your business, give their thoughts, their feedback, and then also support with education as well as supplies. Additionally, and a little less well-known, businesses that generate less than 220 pounds of non-resource Conservation and Recovery Act waste, or less than 2 pounds of acutely hazardous waste, may be eligible to use the permanent household hazardous waste collection facility in Richmond as a very small quantity generator. There are eligibility requirements and links to and there are forms that need to be completed prior to going to the facility. If you visit recyclemore.com/hazardous waste-waste/VSQG, you can find out more information and how to qualify and if your business qualifies. So updates from our business development division. So on Saturday, they hosted the final celebration of National Small Business Week, which was held at the lot in downtown Richmond Food Court, formerly known as the MVP lot. So the lot on McDonald Avenue between 15th and Marina Way. The lot is currently undergoing rebranding, and the grand relaunch will occur Saturday, June 7th, 2025. More details to come, but they wanted to give a shout out to the mayor's office and city manager's office, as well as their other partners on the marketing efforts. Also at the event this past Saturday, they gave out 5 checks to 5 Richmond small businesses for the ARPA Small Business Support Grant. The city team is working hard towards completing this program and awarding grants to those businesses who applied and were affected by COVID. So far, they are on target to deliver more grant money to over 40 small businesses in Richmond. Also, be on the lookout. Oh God, it moved. Be on the lookout in upcoming programs. The facade program focused within the Iron Triangle, Santa Fe, and Coronado neighborhoods. Also, the Open Rewards and Buy Local campaign. The business development division lastly would also like to extend an invitation to everyone who is interested in attending the Economic Development Commission. They meet the second Wednesday of the month, and their next meeting is going to be this Wednesday, May 14th at 11:30 a.m. There are open commissioner positions for those who are interested in helping grow Richmond's economy. And with that, that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Any questions? No? I do. I have a question. Are there any online? Okay. My question is, because we're talking about economic development, do you know if we're scheduled to get any type of a report on Measure U and how it's doing, if the city's benefiting from it, or is it failing, or what is the status of Measure U?
That is a great question. I'm not sure. I will have to ask the finance department if they are planning on giving an update. I'll loop you and Antonio into an email.
That sounds good. We can use all the retail we can get. I appreciate it. Thank you for your report. Greatly
Yeah, thank you.
appreciate it.
And I'll leave the flyers outside of the room. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on, Planning Department, Avery Stark, are you in the house?
I am in the virtual house, yes. Good evening, RNCC, Avery Stark, Planning Manager with the City of Richmond. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Wonderful. Good evening. Just a few updates, a few kind of important things that have been going on in planning, community development, and within our services that issue permits and licenses to the city. So as some of you may be aware, or if those of you who are kind of engaging with our business community or getting permits recently, we have launched a new permitting system. It is called IMS. It was launched on April 28th of this year. It is replacing the long-standing legacy system of Trackit or eTrackit, as some people know it by. There's a permitting system offering, again, a very streamlined and user-friendly experience for submitting and managing different types of permit applications. This could be applying for a business license. This could be applying for a planning permit for, say, a fence or a shed. It could be getting a building permit for solar. It could be applying for an encroachment permit. It could also cover, if you're part of our rental program, the rent program as far as the registration of rental properties in the city of Richmond, and a myriad of other services. We just wanted to note that all existing applications that were a part of eTrackit or Trackit were migrated to IMS. So there's no need to reapply or resubmit materials if you've got existing applications that are in process. If you're having any issues or have concerns or questions about gaining access to our new IMS system, there are a number of different helpful like how-to videos and links on both the planning, building, and various departments that issue permits, but then also on the city's main page. If you scroll to the bottom, there is a how-to IMS, and it's just a full repository of information and tools to help people get acquainted with our new permitting system. Just so if you've got any questions or if you need help with anything, feel free to reach out directly to planning, building, as we're kind of the main stake users of that application, and we happily guide you through setting up an account if you need to, or linking an account with an existing permit. And then we also have a number of just kind of active development projects. So again, we maintain a regularly update list of development projects, which is sent out to this group and then posted on the city's website. In addition to this, and with the upgrade of our new IMS permitting system in the upcoming months, we will also be launching a new kind of interactive GIS map to help showcase projects that are happening within the city of Richmond. It'll be a more automated process that will allow anyone with internet access on a phone or at the library or on a computer to be able to see where projects or for building or planning or encroachment, like through public works, are occurring in your neighborhood. So you might be out for a walk, see someone doing some work, want to know what it's about. You'd be able to use that tool, type in the address to understand, oh, they have a permit or they don't have a permit, to help also inform a code enforcement division about work that may be being done without the benefit of a permit, or if you just want to know more about what's happening in your neighborhood. Some recent project updates. Metro Walk 2 is an SB 35 application, which we've received a proposed modification request to, which is traditionally handled ministerially to ensure conformance with objective state standards for any modifications of an original SB 330 or SB 35 project entitlement. We have received and are in the process of reviewing Nevin Plaza 2, which is 76 unit, 100% affordable housing development at 2400 Nevin Avenue. And Nevin Plaza 1 is also finishing up its remodel and revitalization and has begun continually moving in existing and previous tenants back into that building. We have the ongoing process of bringing the Hilltop Horizon specific plan, which is a comprehensive plan to re-envision the 143-acre Hilltop Mall site area. We recently met with the TAC and provided a presentation to them, both by city staff and by the city's consultant, ESA. We'll be bringing forward that presentation and the recommendation and feedback that we've received from that group and the various sources to the Planning Commission in an upcoming meeting, which will be publicly noticed as a study session. In addition to that, we also have the Chevron wet gas scrubber project and installation of a wet gas scrubber system at the Chevron refinery, which I believe Chevron has presented on in the past, kind of as an informational item to RNCC, but we plan to be bringing that forward to the design review board in the upcoming month. And in addition to that, we have the Chevron solar project, which is a composition of 3 different kind of holding water storage outdoor tanks that will facilitate solar arrays that will float on top of them to help in the reduction of greenhouse gases and fuels at the Richmond refinery. Let's see, in addition to that, just some general notes. The Planning Commission meets again first Thursday of each month at 6:30. Our meetings are broadcasted on KCRT and are also available online for streaming via Zoom and Facebook. And if you've got any other questions or have anything you need to know about planning, again, always feel free to contact me directly, or you can reach out to planning@ci.richmond.ca.us. We are open to the public Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., and then Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. We are on the second floor of City Hall. I will also note that right now the building division has limited hours, and so they are open 8:30 to 12:30 Monday through Friday, as they have been quite inundated with the new permitting system, and they're in the process of training 2 new permitting technicians. So they're just needing a little bit more time in the afternoon to process inspections and applications as they've been rolling in. So they should be back fully operational in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But they do ask for patience and appreciate any patience that can be given during the time that they are closed, again, from 12:30 p.m. to the end of business day, Monday through Friday. And with that, if there's any other questions, I am here to answer them. Thank you.
Lori?
Avery, did you say the GIS, was that a work in progress, or is that active?
That is a work in progress. So we've been developing a new ArcGIS map that would allow for lifetime integration to our new permitting system. One, to upgrade the zoning map and information that the planning division provides to the public for access, and then also to take that next step further to be able to link that with our permitting system, so that instead of there needing to be a manual update of the report that goes to RNCC on a monthly basis, you'd be able to access that site live time. So as soon as a permit is applied and processed by staff, it would actually appear on that map, different colors and different cartographies to help you understand what type of project it is. So that's something we hope to launch in the next month or 2. And I'll report out on that as soon as it's ready and share some links, and I can always walk through that as a presentation item if interested.
Thank you. Jan?
Avery, I was just looking at the under review planning projects, and it's dated for 4/11, so we need a new one to be sent out.
Oh, okay. Let me reach out to staff internally. I believe we sent the email out to the RNCC group, but I will make sure that the online link gets updated. I will now note that as a part of our new permitting system, it'll actually be a link to run the report live on the permitting system software, so you could run it whenever you want, as frequently as you want. So I'll make sure that gets updated tomorrow, and I can send some links out to the RNCC staff.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
It doesn't appear that we have any questions online. No. So I have a couple of questions. I'm also on the website for permitting and projects, and I did not see Walmart on there. They are in the middle of remodeling, and I didn't see any permits pulled for Walmart in Hilltop.
Is it an exterior remodel, Arto,
No,
or is it
no,
an
sir,
interior?
it's interior.
So an
Yeah,
interior
a lot of,
remodel would be a tenant improvement, which would be issued by the building division. And so that type of application would not make it onto the report, as the report that goes out is strictly for planning projects. And those generally have to do with exterior modifications, new buildings, or change of use permits.
okay, yeah, these are all interior modifications.
Mhm.
So I also wanted to ask, I sat in on a Hilltop Horizon site-specific plan presentation, and there was some concern about the density, and I'm wondering, has anything changed or deviated from that plan that was presented? And do you think anything will change, and when will it be presented to the city council for a vote?
So the planning division, along with ESA, plans to take the recommended draft land use plan to the planning commission as a part of a public study session that is tentatively scheduled right now. Let me double check the dates. We're trying to coordinate lots of different calendars, and I believe we are looking at going to planning commission June 26th for a full community study session. We are that will be a culmination of, again, information and feedback we've received via the TAC, which was a meeting you were a part of, along with other conversations with stakeholders that we have been engaging with over the course of the last few months, and then in combination with the data and information that's been received for the last few years as the process has been underway for the update of the specific plan. So I would definitely be able to provide updates during that planning commission study session, and I can always make sure to forward that invitation to this board as well.
So at this point, you don't suspect any changes in density for the project?
I would say that the comments that have been raised about the amount of density will still be something that's up for discussion and something that staff will continue to explore. I don't have an answer to whether or not we will be recommending reduced amounts of density on the mall site, given the stipulations that the state has for required amounts of density and the no net loss rules that come into play when it involves the rezoning of upzoning or downzoning a property. But it has been something staff has been made aware of very acutely, that we need to provide even greater detail and information regarding existing capacity and density given the current zoning, and then how that would or would not change differ with the proposed plan in terms of what those new net numbers would look like. So that will be information, as we've been hearing from community members, that we will bring to the planning commission meeting to further explore and be able to present in a more detailed kind of analytical way.
And then lastly, has there been any new discussion on developing downtown? People have been waiting for decades, and just wondering if there's been any updates.
As far as projects go, nothing of major note to discuss within the downtown area, specifically around the BART station and that corridor. I know we've had a number of projects and a number of interested applicants come in exploring how to utilize our form-based code, which was adopted back in 2023, which provides a myriad of different tools and ways for developers to seek development in a more streamlined fashion. A lot of that would end up being ministerial types of approvals where projects, if they conform to the objective standards as outlined in that form-based code, would be not subject to discretionary permits and review. So as we do see a current, kind of temporary pause in some development of some capacity at that more medium scale of that, 2 to 3 to 4 story buildings, we definitely still have a fair amount of interest in a lot of our existing either surplus land parcels that are owned by the city that will be in the process of going up for sale in the upcoming months. And then just existing properties that are looking to do kind of revitalization or upgrades to their existing facilities, or just trying to really understand what are the implications and how to work within the form-based code, as that's a relatively new set of standards and rules for people that have existed within that corridor.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Greatly appreciated.
You're very welcome.
Are there any other questions before we let Avery get back to the basketball game?
You mean sports ball? I've been paying attention just a little bit.
No. Well, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Greatly appreciated. Thanks
You're
again.
very welcome. Thank you all. Yep. If you have any other questions, again, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is on the Planning Division's website page. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Moving on, community services.
Good evening, everybody. This is Stephanie Nye, City of Richmond Community Services Department, Recreation Division, and Public Works, here to give you some updates and reminders. First, I just want to remind everybody, as I usually do every month, that neighborhood councils have access to use our community centers for your regular monthly meetings or regular meetings, as well as access to our printing and mailing services. So please give us a call or send us an email if you have any questions or want to put in a request. In terms of recaps, last month, Saturday, April 26th, we held our annual Park Prescription Day at Nickel Park with over 400 people that attended and a lot of vendors. We activated the park a lot and brought a lot of new activities, and we hope to see you guys next year for our next annual Park Prescription Day. In terms of upcoming events, thank you, Ms. Rita, for sharing a lot of them. I'm going to go over just a couple of them, and there's also one that I didn't have a flyer for that I'm going to announce as well. So this Saturday, May 17th from 11 to 2, I don't think this was mentioned, there is a literacy festival that will be held at the auditorium. There's going to be a presentation by local author Janae Brownwood, free lunch, and a bookmaking workshop with Lavera Wilson. This is being hosted by the Richmond Public Library, LEAP, the city. I also wanted to follow up or reiterate that we are having our Mira Flores Greenbelt Volunteer Workday on Friday, May 23rd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. to help remove invasive species and litter from the area. Tools, supplies, and food, lunch will be provided to volunteers. I did share a registration link in the chat for Zoom. For anybody who might have joined late, I'll share it again after I get back to my computer. But we're hoping for at least 30 volunteers. I know it's a Friday, but if you're available, we would really appreciate the support. Oh yeah, okay. So as well, the Richmond Tool Library and Mobile Tool Library are expanding, and we want everyone to take a survey to let us know how we should expand our services. So this includes what days of the week you want to see the tool library open, where you want us to bring the mobile tool library. The mobile tool library currently only goes to North Richmond, so we're looking to expand into the different districts of Richmond that aren't currently being served by either libraries. And what events you would like us to host. So we would like to start offering workshops, how-tos, speaker series based on what the community is interested and us hosting. So please fill out the survey. I put the link in the chat, and I will do so again. If you are here in person, I provided you a hard copy survey. Please feel free to hand that over to me, and we'll enter it into our database. Recreation is currently accepting registrations for summer camp. Summer camp will run from June 16th through August 6th at Booker T. Anderson, Nevin, Parchester, Shields Reed, May Valley, and Recreation Complex. Please contact the registration office to register. We also continue to offer our free tennis and homework assistance program to Richmond youth. This is a free program Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. at the Recreation Complex. Also join us for Zumba classes at the Rec Complex and Aqua Zumba at the Plunge. Lastly, the Annex Senior Center is continuing to host workshops in collaboration with Contra Costa Legal Services. Remaining workshop topics include wills, small claims, and power of attorney. You could contact the Annex Senior Center for more information, 510-620-6812. If you have any questions about any of our program offerings, please feel free to contact the registration office, 510-620-6793. And if you have any questions about neighborhood councils or neighborhood council services, please contact me, Stephanie, 510-620-6563. And with that, I will hand it over to Alexis for neighbor-to-neighbor updates. Oh, do you have a question?
One question. Do you guys still have the hula? Do you still offer the hula classes?
I know we used to for the senior center, at the senior center. I don't know if we still do. I would definitely call them, or I could look into it and get back to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Alexis with Neighbor to Neighbor. Just want to give you guys a couple of updates. As mentioned earlier, we have some upcoming events this Saturday, Laurel Park, Walk in the Park at Braxton Park from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. and to reach out to LPNC for any information. Also this Saturday, Shields Reed Neighborhood Council will be hosting a Spring into Play and Fun with Neighbors at Shields Reed Community Center from 11 to 2. This is for the Shields Reed neighborhood, so please reach out to the Neighborhood Council for more information as well. In addition, we also this Wednesday, the city will be hosting a Neighbor to Neighbor how-to event plan, one-on-one the fun way at the Recreation Complex, 3230 McDonald Avenue from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. This is provided to any end-to-end neighborhood councils, and a light dinner will be provided. And lastly, I just wanted to give everybody an overview of just some of the neighbor-to-neighbor grant updates. To date, you guys, we have hosted 27 neighbor-to-neighbor events, more to come, as this month is coming. It's coming fast, and summer is also coming. And last but not least, I would love to celebrate that we have served at least 1,500 Richmond community members at large, which have supported social connectedness. So I'm hoping we can improve those numbers, you guys. And thank you again for this evening.
Thank you. Are there any questions? You come up to the mic, please.
Thank you. Just some questions on the neighbor to neighbor because I'm excited for the event this week. So in preparation for the event, just want to ask, one, what should we bring in anticipation for, to be prepared? And two, who would need to be there as representatives from our council?
Just yourself would be good, and just some ideas, and would be an elected official or someone who has been named as someone who has the authority to submit approvals is who would need to come. Sorry, named by who? By the president. Yes.
Do we have any other questions, comments, or no? I did want to ask, I know Michelle is probably not on the call, but did we mention Juneteenth?
Yes.
Oh, we did?
Mm-hmm.
can we mention?
I'm still on the call. Yes, Juneteenth is scheduled for Saturday, June the 21st. The parade will start at 10 a.m. at Kennedy High School and go to Nickel Park. And there is a landing page on the city landing page where you can register for the parade and you can register for a booth.
Great. Are there any?
I have a question.
Sure.
We had an issue with the senior center for our last neighborhood council meeting. We got there and no one was there. So should I call them directly, or who should I contact so I can make sure someone is there when we're supposed to have our meetings?
I'd be happy to follow up on your behalf with the senior center. So you had a valid reservation and no one was there to open?
Yeah.
Okay, and what was the date?
April, let me look here. It was April 23rd. Yeah, we got there and no one was there.
And what time was your reservation?
7 to 8:30.
Okay, I'll follow up and I'll give you a call.
Thanks.
And Stephanie, if you could remind us again about where we're at with the printing and the mailing. You'd like them early and.
Well, the earlier the better.
Yeah.
So keep in mind when you're submitting your print jobs, it could take about 2 weeks for us to print it for you if you're planning to, like, depending on if it needs to be folded, sealed, or cut. If you're just printing on regular printing paper, like an agenda, like 100 agendas, which is what one of our neighborhood councils do, the turnaround is pretty quick, like 1 or 2 days. But for anything you're mailing out, particularly 2 weeks, and then keep in mind that it could take another 2 weeks for it to reach the households. I know the experience is typically that it only takes a few days, but please allow up to 2 weeks and plan ahead.
And then on the dumpster day postcards, are they all the same, uniform across the board for all the neighborhoods? Because it seems like there might have been an accidental omission on the Iron Triangle, no box trucks.
So as of, I believe, either Parchester Village or North and East's dumpster day, which sometime in May, I think, those postcards should all be pretty uniform with language about the limits for dumpster day.
Ours went out as June 7th, but the postcards have already arrived.
Okay, yeah, I believe those onward should have the new template.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, thank you, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. So moving on to Carlos, are you around?
I am. Good evening, RNCC members. Carlos Castro, Street Supervisor for the City of Richmond Streets Maintenance Division. I'll go through my updates real quick. Our paving crew has been hard at work. We recently paved Lincoln Ave from 18th to 23rd Street. Last week, we paved Gaynor from 18th to 23rd. This week, we're paving Gaynor from 13th to 18th. So the whole 10-block stretch will be done pretty soon. The week of the 19th through the 23rd, we're going to be focusing on spot repairs throughout the city. That is also the National Public Works Week recognition. We'll be doing a picnic that week, so we're not scheduling any major jobs. The week of the 26th through the 30th, which is the Memorial Day week, we do have a small job planned. We're going to pave South 54th and Highland Ave over in the Annex neighborhoods. And then the week of June 2nd through the 6th, our schedule is to pave 20th Street between Gaynor and Coalinga. Pretty soon, a contractor is going to begin working on the curb ramps on Marina Way between Barrett and Ohio. Once that is complete, we will plan to pave all of Marina Way from Barrett to Ohio. There's going to be a new striping plan there also. Our signs team completed the restriping of Grant Ave after we paved it. They're currently working on Lincoln Ave. They're about 75% complete. What we're trying to do when we go in and pave a street now is we want to pave the street, do all new striping and all new signs and curb paint also. So we're about 75% complete with Lincoln Ave. They'll go to Gaynor The first part of Gaynor, once Lincoln is complete, we expect that to be complete this week. We've also been refreshing sweeping signs throughout the city, making spot repairs throughout the city on requests that we have, and parking enforcement is working with us, putting together a large list of faded or missing street sweeping signs. Once they give that to us, we'll be working that into our schedule, making spot repairs. We've also started fabricating street sweeping signs for 2 neighborhoods, the Fairmead Hilltop neighborhood and the Parkchester neighborhood. We want to do major refresh starting with street sweeping signs in those 2 neighborhoods because you guys have been asking me for those for a long time. So that fabrication has begun. Once we have some signs ready to install, we're going to start installing those. 17th and Burbank is going to be getting a new stop sign pretty soon. When we install a new stop sign, there will be some flags on top of the stop sign that let everybody know that it's a new stop sign and to pay attention to it. Those flags will be there for 2 weeks, and then we'll remove them. For street sweeping, we're sweeping on schedule. There is no sweeping, of course, on Memorial Day, the holiday, so we won't do any sweeping that day. And I did want to touch on one thing that Lieutenant Deschis mentioned earlier. We've been getting this question a lot. Even if we have swept already, still abide by the signs, because if you move your vehicle back after we sweep, but it's not 11 a.m., for instance, if the sign says 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., you can still receive a ticket. So abide by the signs the whole time so that you don't receive a ticket. That is the updates that I have. Pretty short and sweet.
Thank you. Are there any questions? None online. Jan?
Carlos, I told you about 30th between Roosevelt and Clinton. Well, after I told you that last month, PG&E came in and did some paving repairs, but it's still, what's going across is still dumpty-dump, it's kind of crazy. So you might want to just check it out.
I did actually, and I reached out to our team and they consider that a done project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Garland.
Hello, Carlos. I've got several people who are stating that when their street is swept, that the edge of the curb area is clean, but there's a lot of rocks that are kind of kicked out by the sweeper out into the middle of the street. I don't know if there's anything going to be done about that, but I've heard that from several people in several different areas.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Actually, we've got that complaint, and what we're trying to do in some of those areas is send our broom bear, which is our mechanical sweeper that is usually with the paving crew. That sweeper is designed to pick up the little rocks that you're seeing. The vacuum sweepers just won't pick them up. They'll pick up small amounts of them, but the vacuum sweepers are more for leaves and litter. So we're trying to send that sweeper when we get those complaints. The only thing is with our paving crew in full swing right now, it's a little bit hard to do that, to schedule them at the same time as the route, because we want them to go at the same time. Otherwise, we're just going to be driving down the middle of the street again. But if you email me any certain areas, I can try to get the broom bear over there.
Okay.
Rock?
Hi, Carlos. Carlos, I know that you, as Public Works, you do streets and sidewalks. I'm not sure if there's anybody else here from Public Works, but what I'm going to elaborate on is on Solano and San Pablo Avenue, there was a business, it was a Plug Tattoo, and they've now been relocated on Barrett and San Pablo. But the problem that we face is that when they left, which I understand, they did more of a tag style on the side that said "We moved," and now everyone's tagging on the side of the wall. It's like a big eyesore. It's not, if it was beautiful art, it'd be wonderful if it was some type of art, but it's just tags on top of their "We moved" on San Pablo and Solano. And the reason why I want to elaborate on is I actually helped them before when they were there, but I was able to do it because the owner of the business, Sal, at the time, he wrote on a note for me because it's private property. So I don't know who the owner is, and I don't know if you guys can help me out. You just want to, because it's that avenue's looking, it's looking dynamite. So we're just trying to keep the bar up.
I'll
Thank you.
pass that on to our
Thank you.
abatement division and see if there's anything they can do.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I did want to thank you for showing Parchester and Fairmead Hilltop some love with the new signs. Greatly appreciated. We've been waiting quite a while, and thank you, thank you. Also wanted to see if Canterbury made your paving list.
I did not get a chance to get out there yet to even survey that yet. I've been super busy. I need to get out there still. Okay.
I appreciate it. Are there any other questions? Garland?
Carlos, I noticed that you mentioned Highland as a repaving area. Can you tell me what section of it and what the date was again?
So my schedule, I have South 54th from Highland to Bayview and Highland from South 54th to South 55th, just that one little section there. I have that scheduled for the week of the holiday, the week of the 26th through the 30th of this month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you for your presentation. Seeing no questions, have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you next time.
Thank
Go
you, Carlos.
Dubs.
All right, next we have old business. Same old business, new policies. Then new business, we're trying to get a couple of neighborhood councils online. We're going to have to read some of their bylaws, and hopefully we can get them online sooner than later. And we will be having our e-board meeting on May 19th. That's a Zoom meeting, and then the RNCC general meeting, next one is Monday, June 9th, 2025. Can you mute the mic for me?
So I had a couple of suggestions to bring to the board. So number one is, if you recall last month, I did suggest to invite Logan Robertson to come speak to you all about what home match does, because this is important, because if you read some of the studies that show that a lot of mature folks they feel isolated. And I said to myself, this would be perfect person to come to have us present to you all about what the program does. So that's one. And then the other suggestion topic that I thought of was when Cindy Howell spoke to the Commission on Aging about diabetes and things of that nature, and I said, this is perfect because I read the studies, and it shows that you got a lot of with diabetes. It's a scary thought. So I'm thinking that if it would be possible to have Cindy Howell to come speak to you all at a later time to tell you more about the present to you all about what her about what the program does. For help older adults. So those are two of the things that I had in mind.
Thank you, Cordell. And I did want to mention on June 9th, our special guest will be Harpreet Sandhu from Congressman Garamendi's office. So do we have anybody that wants to?
I'll make it quick since it's the end of the night. So like I said earlier, I'm newly appointed secretary for the Annex neighborhood, and I want to come meet all of you in person because I've joined online virtually. And also I'd like to just get connected with the other neighborhood councils. Our council hasn't had a secretary in a long time, so looking for resources and guidance on, how to fulfill that role. So I want to connect with all of you guys about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I guess the question is who can I connect with best?
If you go on the city's website and where it has the neighborhood councils, it has a whole list of neighborhoods and contact information, and you can just kind of go from there. Does that help?
LaShonda White, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. If I could, I would like to make 3 quick announcements, and I just want to thank amazing staff for all the announcements they made. But in this month, we have a few different community engagement opportunities if people are interested and love the arts. Richmond is trying to do a strategic plan and a community needs assessment regarding the Richmond the Arts Corridor, which will be on 23rd and on McDonald. And we want community input and feedback about what that could look like. So we have upcoming community engagement opportunities. We have one on May 13th from 5 to 7 at East Bay Center for the Performing Arts. We have one that will also be in Spanish at Rise from 4:30 to 6:30 on May 19th. We have something at the Richmond Main Street Initiative from 5:30 to 7:30, also with Spanish translation on May 28th. And then we have on May 31st at the Rich City Gallery from 4 to 6 p.m. I hope people can join. You also can go on Richmond's website and find more information, as well as in the weekly report. Also, we are super excited about YouthWorks. And if you have any young people between the ages of 16 to 24 through our Employment and Training Department, young people can sign up. Applications are open right now for young people to get work experience, get placed in a job. They get paid between 100 and 300 for 100 and 300 hours of work. We do a lot of intensive work during the summer and placements, but there's also opportunities for older individuals up to 24 to do year-round employment. So please check out our employment and training website, YouthWorks, for more information about that. And then finally, we are excited to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the Marina Bay Farmers Market. So on May 25th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Marina Bay Park, we're going to have a lot of wonderful things, live music, food, dancing, youth story time, and games. So we hope you all can come out and celebrate a year of the Farmers Market. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we close, I wanted to also mention that for anybody that's interested, the mayor's office has these great resource guides. Inside of it, you have contact information for the city clerk, code enforcement, just about anybody that works in the city. So it's really a great resource guide. And if you're interested in there you go. If you're interested in any of the information that you heard before, this recording will be up on YouTube under KCRT, their YouTube page. So seeing nobody else, so I guess we'll go ahead and close this meeting. It is Monday, May 12th, 9/11, and let's hope the Warriors win. Thank you.